I really feel like my life is bookended. I was born in 1937. My parents were just coming to California from the Great Depression, and then World War II started. So my childhood was about that, and also the polio epidemic. We really were scared about that because kids got it more than anybody else. And bookended at the other end by the coronavirus, which is certainly something I have thankfully never experienced before in my life. I'm Maxine Borowski Young. I'm called Max. And I'm 82 years old and grew up in Los Angeles, was born there also. My dad was living in New York, working as a stage manager for Elmer Rice. And my mother was the head of the WPA costume shop for all of New York at the age of 21. And my dad sold a script to the movies about King Arthur. And they came out to California and never went back, thought they were in heaven. I grew up during the blacklist in Hollywood. It was a very hard time. A lot of people left the country, a lot of writers in particular, because they would have gone to jail otherwise. And I saw my father in particular standing up for people. I think I realized early on that the world wasn't fair. When I was 12, I was put in the dumb class in junior high school, took the Iowa test, which was a big quantitative test, and didn't do very well, never could do well on test. And they didn't call it the dumb class, obviously, but we all knew. And it was very, very painful. So I stopped going to school. I would have stomach aches in the morning and so on. My mother, instead of sending me to a shrink, which people did then if you didn't go to school, sent me to an art teacher, Eula Long, who changed my life. Eula taught in the Kahn Institute of Art on Melrose Avenue. And she believed that you should only support kids. You didn't need to teach technique. You really should provide an atmosphere where they could do their own work. And she did, and I did, and I looked at my work becoming really good. So I began to have an outside life too. I was always interested in art of social change from very early on, but I had mixed messages and mixed urges for myself, because I was a smart kid and a sensitive kid, and I wanted to do various things, and I wanted to be an artist from the time I was born. And yet what girls were supposed to do was domestic stuff. Women were expected to get married, and I married at 21. And I had kids starting when I was probably about 24. My daughter was born, and my son was born when I was 27. So before I was 30, I had 2 kids. We had quite a good marriage for a long time and raised 2 wonderful kids. And then we grew apart. And as far as I was concerned, if I was going to be lonely in the relationship, I wanted to be lonely on my own. So I got out. At that time, I was head of the art therapy, marital and family therapy program at Loyola Marymount University, and I had been teaching for years and years and doing psychotherapy and tried a lot of things, been the administrator, all that kind of stuff. And I remember I walked into the chairs meeting at the beginning of the year for all the chairs of the departments in the university. And I took one look around and I said, yep, time to retire. LA by that time had gotten all cemented over. It wasn't a wonderful place to live anymore. And also I was getting older. I was in my mid-60s at that point. So I decided for getting out of LA, I would look up in the islands up in Washington. And one day I walked into a house which had this fabulous view of Puget Sound. And I walked to the window and I said, I'll take it. And it turned out to be a wonderful, wonderful house, thank goodness. I lived on Whidbey for 18 years, at which point I ran out of money. And the only way I was going to have more money was if I sold my house. My son in Beacon, New York, where I am now, had asked me to come and live out this way. And at first I felt like I had no choice. And I don't have a lot of choice if I want to be anywhere near a kid. But, I haven't been near my son since he was in college. So I sold everything I had, sold the house. And Benjamin came out and we drove 7 days across the country and got here in time for my birthday in August. And Benjamin, he's probably certainly within 5 minutes driving, 10, 15 minutes walking. I have lived a long life and I have seen a lot of things and lived through a lot of things. And I always wanted to have a meaning in somebody's life or the world. So I worked very hard at being a teacher and a mentor, and I worked very hard at changing the world sometimes. And that's what I really want people to remember about me, if they do at all, that I was there and helpful to them. And I also want them to remember that I opened my mouth and was a big mouth about certain things that matter. That's what I want.